Hello, everyone. Good afternoon for you. Hope you are having a nice weekend. All right, so today we'll be building a Parallax website. The Parallax effect is actually one of the popular effects being used for many websites now. And if you have got some idea, so you know what I mean, but if not, here is the final project or final look when we finish the project. So basically, the parallax effect is keeping or fitting or fixing the background image while you scroll down like this. So that is actually a parallax. So it's just fixed in the background. Then the background image doesn't move as you scroll down, but the content, as you see here. So it looks nice, right? So we have some text here, and then just continue scrolling down. So we have another image with fixed position, so like this. So we have the content for it. So we just scroll down a little bit more. So there's a text. After the text, then we have another picture is in the fixed in the background, and then we have another content again. Then we continue scroll down, and finally the last image and the last text. So this is the project we will be building today. That's the basic parallax effect. But if you learn along the way, I believe you can develop something like this. Let me open it for you. So that's the project we will be building today. And so let's just get cracking. Okay. All right, as always, we start. I have an empty folder here created on my desktop, and I just open in my Visual Studio Code, and it's ready to create any new file. So I haven't created any index file. I have no images, and I have no content as well. And I believe you got the content from Barry last time. Let's check if you do have. Yeah. Let me just copy the link. All right, so Barry has published a link for you for the Parallax website. Let me renew and refresh the page. So this is the GitHub that you will have all images in this GitHub. You can download the images because we will be using all the background images here. And this project GIF is the file that what this page will look like actually. So here it is. So this is the sample. Let me share this link again in the class chat if you haven't got yet. So here is the GitHub. So you can download the images. And Barry shared one more link. Yeah. So it means he says that you have to publish it to the LMS before today. I hope you did all. Let me just share the LMS link as well. So now we can start now. Well, okay, so before I start building any project, any website, first of all, I look at the website in detail and try to understand how this page is structured. So, for example, this page, now I can see there is one section here. So this is one section. So it's just, the covering all the browser. So it means maybe 100% height here because it's covering all this browser body section. So I can see that inside this section, I have just a content, Clarusway. Okay, so let's just scroll down. So I have another section, but this section doesn't have any background. It's just basically a text with a header and the paragraph. Well, nice. I have some bold emphasizing here. I have another section, so it's the section 3 now. And in this section is again full height, almost full height. Okay, so with this, I believe it's full height. It seems not. Anyway, so here is the section. It's the section now 3, yes, with a background, with a content. But this content is now image. It's not a text, so I need an image for it. So it's the logo of Clarusway. So I will scroll down a little bit more. So there is another section, but it's not full height. So it again has the heading and the paragraph. But there's one difference from the other section. This section has a light background. This section has a dark background.
I have a quick question. Are you possibly using another monitor?
Oh, sorry. Okay, let's get back to the beginning. All right, sorry. Thanks for reminding. All right. Yeah. Right. It was the wrong one, I believe. So, yeah. So here it is again. So that's the section 1 with a full height with a content. So I have just one section here, and there is, let's say, heading 1, because I always keep one heading, and in the page should be heading 1. So this is the first heading I've seen. Then I will mark this as H1 for this page. So that would be an H1 tag here. So one section full height, a background is parallax effect, but it's because of CSS. So this is not about the HTML, but anyway, I have this section. It's just totally one full height section with a content here. Then another content again, so just a header and the paragraph. And this section is just have a limited space as much as you have the content. So it doesn't have any background, but there's a light color. It's not white, it's not gray, a very, very light gray color here for the background. So here again, there is another section with a parallax effect. There is a background image here, and there is now an image. So that's another image for the Clarusway logo. It's not text, it's not heading, it's not paragraph. So it's just image. So I have one more section with image here. And this part again, with a dark background this time, and the color is white, or not white, light gray, I believe. So that's sometimes good to use the light gray instead of white color, because when you use white color over dark background, it's just too bright. So that's why many developers, they don't use exact white. They just use light gray color instead of white. That's just an idea. Well, another section with a content. This content looks like my heading 1 as we had in the beginning. So it's just Clarusway, but there is difference. This Clarusway heading is having quite bigger, and also the gap is larger. But for this one, the gap for the border is not that much, and then it doesn't look too big as well. So this could be H2. All right. Again, another section with a light background and just heading and the text. I can use H3. I can use H2. That depends what I want to really achieve. All right. So that looks another text again, very similar to this one. Exactly the same section, but different background. So very nice. And another section, this is our last section with the dark background, with the heading and the paragraph. Okay, so that's basically the structure. And if I change the screen size, I just want to observe how the background affects. So let's just go down. All right, it's just, have you realized the image was resizing up to this point, but after this point it stopped resizing, just the cropped. Okay, and it looks like a very responsive page, but we don't really have any responsive media queries like we had last time. So basically It's a very basic page, so it's not hard. But I think we got the point. So let's get to the codes now. Okay, so first of all, let me create my index.html file. And I can create my style.css file. I need images, right? So let's create an image folder. img could be the image folder. And within this image folder, I will replace all the images I have from here. Okay, so I need to download all the images and bring it to this folder. Let me do it real quick. Now you can see all the images are here. So I am ready to go. All right, index.html. As always, we start. There is a magic trick in Visual Studio. So I put an exclamation mark and just hit tab. That just give me a boilerplate for HTML. That's always how I started to do VS Code. So if you don't get this one, so let me share it in the class chat real quick. So index.html, and this is going to be an HTML, and it's the Parallax website HTML boilerplate. Okay, and there you go. All right, you got it. And let's start changing the title first. So Clarusway. Okay, just say Clarusway, or you can say welcome to Clarusway. It's all up to you. I will just keep it basic. So we have now Clarusway. Right. The first off, I'll be starting with exactly my first section. So let's have a look at the website. Okay, here is my first section, and it's just here. Okay, so I need one section. If you know the HTML5, I would like to stick with this semantic version, which I suggest. So it's good to use section. All right, so we can start with creating a section title. And within the section, okay, here is our first section. Okay, and in this section, I have just this text. To style this text, I will be using another div for just this text. I will use the background and other styling for the section, and I will use another styling for this section. So we can, instead of a div, we can create h1 directly. So again, h1 is our most prioritized heading in the web page, and it must be there must be at least one heading 1 in our document, so the search engines, when they crawl, they can understand what's this page about. Yes, of course, they can go and check out the title, but it's also good to have your headings, because they just don't look at the titles. There's also the sections, the headings, and all other heading levels are important for the search engines to understand the structure of your page. So I can directly start with the first heading. Here is my first heading, and it's Clarusway. All right, basically. Well, because we will have many sections, it's good to have some naming for it, right? But I will come to that point later. So that's my first section. So now let's go the second section. Here is the other section. Well, let's create other section here. And again, this time we have one more heading, which you can use heading 2 for it, and then a paragraph. Okay, let's create heading 2. Oops, whoop. Let's just go back, heading 2. And oh, by the way, just for the text, you need a text. So let me share the text with you. Let me share all the text with you. Okay, that's the first section. Okay, so that's the first section. All right, that's H2. It's full stack development. I shared in the class chat, by the way, this content. So here is the full stack development, and I will create a paragraph, which I'm going to have this to my paragraph. That's it. That's all done. Save. And then now another section. Okay. All right. The other section again here with a logo this time. So I'm going to create the other section. Within this section, I will create an image that will be pointing to the Clarusway logo file, which is inside the image folder. So, which is this one, clarusway.png. So I will creating my img tag for the source. That's because the index and this folder is in the same directory. I'm going to use the / notation. As soon as I create this / it just points me all available files and folders inside this folder. So I'm going to select image, and I'm going to select clarusway.png. For the alt, which is alternative text, we can just say Clarusway logo. That's it. All right. Okay, so that's another section. Now we come to that another section, which is very similar to this one with heading and a paragraph, with one difference, which is the doc background. But this is all about CSS. So I'll basically create my section for it. Inside this section, I am creating another H2 and another paragraph that I'm going to share in the class chat right now. Okay. So this is my heading, which I'm going to create with heading 2. And I will put in the heading 2. And with a paragraph, inside the paragraph, I have this. All right. So I'm done with this section as well. All right. So I just wanted to just give a, the proper indentation here. All right. So this section is fine. I can basically give some white space that separates each section, so I can read easily. All right. So I come to this section this time. Well, that is exactly the same with the first one, again with a difference. That was H1. With this H1 tag, we have an extra space here, right? But here, I have H2, but for this section, should I say H2 or H3 or H1? Well, why should I use H1? Or should I use a different one, like div, like span? What do you think? What's your ideas? You can unmute if you want. You can put in the class chat. What do you think? Should I go for H3 or just H2 or maybe H1, or select some other tags like div or span? What do you think?
Yeah, H1 is a good idea.
H1, okay. Who else? Is there anybody else? H1. Right, in a structure, there is no right or wrong here. You can use anything here, all right? But the thing is, let's think about the search engines. How do you want your search engine, or the Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo, how do you want them to crawl your website? How do you want that crawlers give importance to your page? That's all about that. You can create any tag here. It really doesn't matter unless you care about the search engines. That's the important point. Again, no right or no wrong here. Just your decision is important. Well, in my decision, do I want a crawler give importance to this text more than this text? It just give me, it's like kind of a call to action, way to reinvent yourself. It's like a motto, right? It's like a slogan. But is slogan more important than the content, like what you're doing in this Clarusway. For me, this has more priority than this text. I can give it H1. That's because Clarusway, because all about Clarusway. So I can use this Clarusway keyword as much as I want in this page, and I can gives more importance, like giving H1 for it. But this one is like a motto. It's like a slogan. Again, for me, this text has more priority than this text. Plus, I don't even want to go for any heading tag because it's not heading to any text. We have heading here, and we have some paragraph to explain that heading. But for here, again, it's not like any heading. So I'll basically make a div here. All right. So that's my explanation. That's my choice again. But you can create H2, H3. It's all up to you. All right. Is there any question about this? So I have created my section, and I need a div for it. I will use div here. Okay. And this div has a text, which is this. All right. I'm not using any heading tag. All right. So that's the section. But again, it's not about it's correct or wrong. It's all about my instincts. All right. All right. So the other section is, again, very similar to this section. So let's just have this text, and I'm sharing in the class chat right now. Okay, so let's create that section. And inside we need an H2. And of course, we need a paragraph. So within this H2 tag, let's use this one. And for the paragraph, let's use this one. Okay, done. So just give some indentation here, basically enter. Okay, so we have the last two sections. This section, exactly the same with this section. So I'm going to use exactly the same structure, copy and paste. Okay. And of course, the last one, copy and paste, and then replace the text. Also sharing in the class chat. Okay, perfect. All right, so that's the paragraph, and this one, 1, 2, 3. So with triple click, so you can select hold the paragraph. With double click, select the word. Triple click selects the paragraph. Triple click selected the paragraph, and then paste, and then done. Okay. All right. So I believe that's how I would structure the page. But when we start applying CSS, we may tweak the HTML a little bit. But basically, this is just my feelings saying this should be a correct structure. Now, let's just have a look how it looks like. Open with live server. The last lesson, we have few people. I think you were all busy. If you don't have this live server plugin, basically you can go to the plugins or extensions. Sorry, search for the live server. There's one. So just install it. Once you install in index HTML file, so when you right click, just share you the open with live server. Okay, well, if you click that, it will open your page here. You may ask why I didn't double click and open it. Well, that's basically, if you change anything here, okay, let me show you. Closing the left sidebar and just okay. Whenever you change any text here, let's say full stack development done right. So as soon as you save it and you got exactly all the changes on the right side, so you don't have to refresh the page. So that's one of the things that I use a lot when I'm developing a page. So right click and open with live server. To have this option available, then you have to install that live server extension. Can I share it? Copy extension ID, copy. There's no share, I believe. All right, I think I don't have this. All right, just go ahead and search the live server. Okay, all right. Now, it looks like this. Okay, nothing really catchy. It's just plain text. Now, what time is it? So we are quite fast. Do you have any question we can discuss about the structure or how you structure your page? So we can talk about the difference. Yeah, you can unmute yourself if you want.
I don't have any questions yet. I'm like waiting for the CSS part.
Right. Okay. How about your structure, John? Is there any differences?
No, the way you're explaining it and like kind of breaking it down is kind of the exact same approach that I got. I was like, all right, this has background, and this one's an image, this one's not. This one's light section, this one's like a dark color section. Yeah. And then that's literally it. Header, paragraph. So nothing really different, like same thing.
Yeah, awesome. Maybe one difference, but I don't know if anybody use main tag in HTML, the main tag. So, in HTML5, we have main tag. We have aside tag. Even if you don't have any aside bar, but we can still use aside tag inside the documentation. If you have you have a main content, but sometimes along with the main content, you want to have something aside. It's like an explanatory information, something. So you can use aside tag for it. So if you go for HTML5 tags here, I think before the interviews, and if you're going for a full front end mostly, then it's good to know the differences between them. So I'm not explaining all, but I just wanted to show you we have a few HTML5 tags. All right, there was a one W3 school, I think. Yeah, it doesn't really. Yeah, it shows all actually. The MD, actually Mozilla MDN actually is the most official documentation for HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So you can find a lot of documentation here, and many professionals do refer this page. But sometimes, W3 school, it's not a professional reference, but it sometimes has a really nice documentations as well, like HTML5 W3 schools. HTML5 tags. Maybe this one. Yeah, sometimes it looks more cleaner than here. All right. Yeah, we have a lot of HTML5 tags here, a lot, right? So it's good to know the differences between them. And I think if I was the person who interviewed you, I would definitely ask this DL and DT. What is it for? And then, yeah. And aside, actually, the tricky one. Like many people knows that I have a sidebar, so I can use aside tag. Yeah. So what else I would ask actually? The tricky one. The citation things, but I think it's clear that you cite a work. Yeah. All right, so we have too much HTML5, fig caption, figure and fig caption. There's two things. There's also about images. We are not going to use any of them here, but just in, giving you an idea. Okay, so let's get back to the topic. All right, so this time is about CSS, and we have a few more minutes. So 10 more minutes, so we can structure the CSS. First of all, we have the style CSS, but I haven't linked it yet here. So let's create a link first. And again, it's exactly the same folder, so /. You can even access this by giving a slash, but that's, I don't know, is it a habit? So I'm using / usually. Of course, there's difference, by the way. So I'm going to go the style CSS. That's it. So now I've linked the style CSS. I usually test this. Okay, it could be a good question. How do you test your style CSS is working? I basically go for a body selector and just change the background to blue. So I can see that. Oh, yeah, my CSS is linked. So then it's all okay. All right, nice, beautiful. So of course, this is not our body tag, but again, how do you start your CSS? I always start my CSS by giving an asterisk within a global selector, universal selector, sorry. Within this universal selector, I reset my paddings, margins, and also the content box settings. So what I'm going to do here again, I'm going to give a margin 0. That's because all browsers has automatic margins and paddings. So that's why I want to just reset them quickly. So just give 0 for it. As soon as you save it, nothing changed. No, it changed a lot. Look, that's the difference. So let's just turn this off. Let's comment this out. Come on. Okay. All right, so let's comment this out. Like all the headings has its own margins, all the paragraph has its own paragraphs. That depends on the browsers. Again, when we are designing a web page, we want this look same all browsers. That's the aim that we reset. If we just don't reset and continue, every browser may affect different to our HTML code. We have the same HTML, but different browsers will show your HTML different. So then that's why we are going to reset everything first. Then I will define my own rules. So this will look exactly the same in every browser. If you want to see that, what I mean, you can create an input box in your HTML file, open in Safari and Chrome, it looks different. So change the type to date and check all the browsers are actually showing that date property differently. All browsers has different date input box. Just basic input box, the type text, change text to the date. So you will see what I mean. So every browsers, if you have some time, I will explain this maybe at the end of this project. So that's why I'm resetting it, everything. I want everything in my control. So let's reset the padding as well. Padding 0. And box sizing, which is border box. The default is content box, but it's good to have a border box. I think I've explained the difference between border box and content box. That's another tricky one. It's good to know. So CSS border box versus content box. This example shows very well the difference. So this is the content box. It has a child container, but because the child container size is wider, the paddings and margins is just overflowing the parent container. But if you change it to the border box, it fits in the parent's containers. So that's it. That's what we are, why we are having this. So this applying 5 pixels is, the padding is increasing the size of the child container. So that's the child container. So that's the content box. So Because the child container size is exactly the 100% of the parent container, but because you apply some paddings, so it's just overflow the parent container, which we really don't want. So that's why we are changing box sizing to the border box, that everything fits in to the parent. So the border box means please refer the border box when you are resizing. If you change the content box, please refer the content, not my border. So that's why it's referring your content when it's sizing, not your border. But if you say the border box, it's just referring your border. Then resize or inverted resizing. It still has a padding 5, but the container, but the text is also gets smaller. But here, the size of the width is basically of the content size. So this 100% is applied to the content, not to the box. So that's why it's just apply the 100% for the content. Whatever you apply extra, like paddings, margins, is just overflowing the parent container. That's the idea why we just use reset with the box sizing to the border box. That's why. I hope it's more clear now. Maybe not. All right. Now, let's just build the first part. Then we can just give a break. Now, we have the Clarusway. So here is this one, Clarusway text with a background. So now this time we have to discuss about the class names that I'm going to give that section. Well, it seems all the sections look very same. So this section has a parallax settings and even a full height, as well as this one. So almost every section, this parallax effect section looks like having the very similar CSS rules, except the image. So the image is different. So what I would do here, I will basically give a class name, and then I would say parallax for this class. So I can apply this all the parallax effects page, and because I'm going to have an image and all the images are different, so I will basically give another class name like image1. So which means this section is going to have a parallax styling plus, because it has the different image, so let's give a number. So image1 will be applied as a background. So I'm not using any image tag here. It's just all about CSS. So that's why I'm just giving 2 class names here. For the heading, what I can say for it is just a class name. Okay, so it's heading, right? So you can give a title. You can say title or heading if you want. So let's give a class for it. You can say heading. This heading styling is very similar to the others like this, but it's big. The others are small. So I would give one more class name, which is big. So that's big heading. Sometimes some developers like to use this naming. So you can exactly write like a semantic way, like it's big heading, or it's, you can even make a sentence here. Big blue heading, big bordered heading. So that's another way of naming your classes. I really like it. If you have looked at the Semantic Ui, I believe they are using this naming convention, Semantic Ui. Yes, this one. Semantic Ui is basically a component library for your HTML and CSS projects, and even there's some JavaScript files, I believe. For example, let's look at the buttons here. It's a long time I haven't really looked at this one. So let's just look at the button components. So for example, you have a button here, right? So basically they give you the source code. Okay, they have their own CSS file, but basically if you have a button, you just name the class as UI button, then it's basically apply, button properties for it. So you are not writing any CSS for that. Okay, but this is basically for the backend developers who really doesn't want to touch in the front end. In the teams, if you haven't got a separate front-end developer, and if you have just backend developers and just want to develop a web page, so they basically use kind of a library because they don't want to write any CSS file. So I just wanted to show you that why they are calling themselves a semantic, because look at this blue button now. So it's UI primary button. Okay, what about this? It's like very semantic. It's UI because it's semantic UI. Secondary button. So it's just like a sentence, but it's actually different class names. UI, secondary, button. So these are different 3 classes. So let's look at the big one. Okay, or let's labeled icon. Okay, the UI labeled icon button. So again, we see that here we have different classes, and then basically they are all different. But if you read, it's like a sentence and semantic, right? So that's why they call themselves semantic. And I really like their idea. That's why I'm going to apply this similar idea to here. Of course, it's not only the idea. There are a lot of different UI libraries available, like Bootstrap, like Material UI. But I like their naming convention like this. So let's have a look at one more example. So I think it's time to give a break. Okay, yeah, it is. UI primary basic button. UI negative basic button because it's negative color. UI positive basic color. So button. So that's the naming for the class. And again, I'm going to apply very similar approach in our project. So I think it's time to give a break. And also, yeah, if you have any questions, just put in the class chat. I'll be back in 15 minutes, 15. So I'll see you later. All right, so let's get back to topic. Again, this was just a basic idea that why I'm going to follow this styling or naming convention. Again, there are a lot of different naming conventions out there, but this time let's stick with that. The next time let's stick with another one. All right, so that's the parallax image one. It's heading big. Well, let's get back to here. Okay, so that's what I would really go for the name. So let's give this styling then directly to this first section, so we can continue with the other sections. Okay, so again, because I see that we have several similar sections like this parallax effect and this one and this one and the last one. So these will all have the parallax class. But because they have different image, so the first one has image 1, the other image 2, the other one image 3, 4, 5, and I think it's almost we have 5 image. Okay, so let's continue with the parallax actually. So okay, here it is. Okay, we have the resetting tool there. Nice. Now we can now check back the parallax image 1. So in my parallax effect, first of all, I want all my image to center to the align to the center. If you look at the this resizing your browser, you can see the image is sticked in the center. So the image alignment, the background image alignment actually is in the center. That's important. The other thing that I can understand is, yes, I have a background, but this background image has a different property because if I go and extend the size, the image is getting bigger, and when it gets smaller, it's just stick in the center, and that's it. So this is basically the cover effect for the background positioning. Okay. The other thing is, usually if you have a background, it automatically repeats as a background image several times. Because our background image is too big, we can't see that repetition, but it's good to have the stop repeating. And again, the most important one is the parallax effect, right? So let's have a look if it really works for this parallax. First of all, well, let's say our class name is parallax. So within this parallax class, the first thing, of course, we need a background image. So, but that's image one, not the parallax itself, right? Because I have now two classes. One is for the image, the other one is the parallax effect. So for the image one, so let's create another one, which is image one. Okay. So let's find out where the first image is inside the image folder, and which is, I think, BG. Yes, this one. So this is the first image we are looking for. Well, that's the image one class. Again, that's because I give this image one as a separate class. So within this image one class, I'm going to now check for the background image, not the color, sorry, background image. Now, because this image is from a file, I will use a URL function. And inside this URL function, you can use single quote, you can use double quote, or no quotation marks. You can just directly write this. Also, it works. But again, I personally prefer the single quotation. And dot slash inside the image folder, the first image. So that's my background image. Okay, image one. So let's see if we have any image in here. So we don't need to refresh. Okay, can you see the background image? It's just right here. We have the background image. But the problem is this image is not covering all the page. That's because of the height issues. Because of my section height, I haven't mentioned, because I haven't mentioned the section height or the parallax, the section height. So like this, because I don't have any height property available here. So then it's automatically get the height of its content, which is Clarusway. So that's the height of the Clarusway. That's why the background height is automatically is this size. So, well, that's all about the section. And my section is just saying the parallax. So I think that would be the correct class that I'm applying the height property for this section. Okay, so now let's jump into the parallax section now. Let's give some height property so we can see the correct, the sizing. All right. So for this, let's give height 100% and see if that really works. Parallax. Okay. All right. So the parallax has 100% height, but it really doesn't affect anything. Do you have any idea why this height might not work? Any idea? Where this height coming from? How this height is calculating? Does it automatically take the height of the browser? It seems not. As you can see here, it seems that doesn't take the browser height. So then what is missing here? What do you think? Any idea? No idea. Any guess? All right. When we just mention any height to any component, any section, any class, if the browser first look at the body, what's the body height? If the body height is 100%, all the other child properties, child components, child elements, is automatically get the height of its parent. But now let's inspect this project. So if you look at the body, it seems it's 100%, or it's just having exact content, because the content size is too big, maybe it's just having the content size, not 100%. So to understand this, let's delete everything in this file, or just comment out. Okay, don't delete, because we spend a lot of time to create them. Okay, let's just, what happened? I think it's correct. Section. Okay, let's just comment out, save, and look at this now. I have only Clarusway. If you look at the body height is not 100%. If you look at the HTML size is not 100%. That's why this parallax can't get 100%. Because when we say, again, 100% in our CSS file, the browser look any parent has a full width. So it doesn't. So that's why it doesn't get this parallax to 100%, because the body size is this much and HTML size is that much. So that's why the 100% means this. Well, to extend it now, finally, we need to apply some settings to the body as well as the HTML. So HTML, also the body. It's good to have a safe. You can just apply to the body, but just keep it safe, apply it to the both HTML and body. Okay. So what is missing here for now? The missing part is basically the height. As soon as I get this height to 100%, oops, let's check out this page. Look, now this 100% worked. If you comment this out, it doesn't, because now the parallax doesn't have height, but body, look at the body, has 100% now. So HTML also. So that's why anytime that your height property doesn't work, go and check out if your HTML and body, you mentioned some height for it. Okay, is that clear? I hope it is. All right. I usually pick students and talk to them, and I really get interactive way to doing, but I just don't want to disturb you now. But feel free to speak up a little bit, because I think sooner I'll be going to talk to you directly. But again, I just don't want to disturb now, because I know you're listening and maybe taking some note. So that's why I just want to listen to answer quickly. So, well, that's fine. But again, just prepare yourself. Just sometimes unmute yourself and speak up. So let's just discuss. But again, I am both okay. I can just go and give the solution. But I think this way is more helpful. Otherwise, why I'm here, right? To share my experience. So, but if you think otherwise, just let me know. So I don't want to disturb you, really. Okay. So now I have 100%, and it's just completely covering up all this browser. Exact size. Look at this. It's exactly 100%. No scrolling down. It's just this. Okay. So I've got this happen now. Oh, look at the image. And look at my image. The image should look like this, but I'm seeing only this part, just this part of the image. If I go and resize this, I'll see a little bit, but no, it's just the font. Look at this. Because my image is too big, it's totally, extending all the picture, and don't resizing, because I only give the background image property. So, and the parallax height 100%, okay? So I believe I'm going to apply more properties here to see this picture better. So let's do it. Let's just resize this a little bit to see the content here. Maybe this way better. Okay, now Again, I'm going to apply this to the parallax because all the parallax will have the same properties. So that's why I'm not going to apply it to different images, but I'm applying with the parallax as my class name is parallax. So I think now I can uncomment this section. Uh-oh. Okay. So I have the other contents. Okay. At least I have the Clarusway here. All right. Well, now let's apply a few more settings to the parallax selector. Okay. So it's all about image. Okay. Now I have the background from image, right? So I have the background from image1 class, but now I can resize this image settings, the background image settings also from parallax. I don't have to define it in the image1 because again, I have almost 5 sections. So all these 5 sections will apply the same rule. So I'm not going to apply image1, image2, image3. Instead, I'm applying to the parallax. So the first of all, the background position. Background. So if you type background, you will see the background color, background image, background position, background repeat, size, clip, visibility, attachment, origin, position X, position Y. So in CSS3, you can do a lot with the background. Now we'll be using a few of them. So the one of them is background position, and I will keep it to, look at all the rules we can give is to center. Now the image shouldn't be showing the iPhone now, it's just showing the center of the image, right? So if you look at the center of the image is here, and now I'm seeing this part. I think, yes, that's part of this image. Okay, so that's the center of the image, but still, image is too big and it's not responsive. So I'm resizing it. Yes, it's stick to the center now, it's just extending, but I can't see anything else except this corner of the keyboard. So let's continue. Another thing that I would apply is the background position, background size cover. If you want to make any background responsive, that's the setting that you should give, cover. Cover means, okay, maybe your image, so let me just show you another settings here. Not cover, what else we have? Okay, let's check. No, we don't have. So that's the thing that we can give cover. So well, the cover basically is covering up all the area. If the image size is larger, then it sticks with the top and bottom of the screen. So like top and the bottom. I know this image is wider. How do I know? So let's just extend it. Look at the image. Image is also getting bigger because my image size is exactly this much. A little bit more. Okay, my image size is this much. When I reach to the left and right side of my image, now I can see the full image. Then the image is getting zoomed in because, okay, like this, the image getting zoomed in. So that's because I have already reached left and right side of the image. So it's just extending and it's like we are zooming in. That's not the parallax effect. That's just, we selected the cover as a background size. So that's why first of all, the image stick with the top and bottom of the container in this section is section. So it's just top and bottom of the section now. And when it reaches to the left and right, exact size of the image to the left and right, then top and bottom is getting extended. And it just gives us like a zooming in. You know, a regular user, when they visit your website, it doesn't resize. They don't resize your page. They basically see if their screen size is big, they see this much. If their screen size is small, they see this much. If they are looking at the mobile phone, they see this much. Because we center it, so we don't lose any other elements in this picture. So at least if you're on the mobile phone, yes, you can see this one. But if your background is not centered, then you would always see this one. And it really doesn't look nice for me. So it would be nice to have it center. So that's why it's good to have a center and also get it the background size cover. All right. Well, because it's already done, we don't have to go and apply the other things like no repeat, because it's already covered. So we don't have to go to say no repeat. If you have a small background, then it just repeating the page in this section area. But it's already a big image. It really doesn't matter. But you can still go and give background repeat, no repeat if you want. Background repeat, no repeat. But again, it really doesn't affect anything because our image is too big. So one more thing now. When we scroll down, the image goes up. What I want is to fix there, fit there, and fixed in the screen. So it will give me a parallax effect. And that's basically done with a single CSS property. Background attachment, fixed. Fixed. All right. Ready? Let's scroll up. Oh, yes. So you have a background. It's positioned to the center, and it's all the cover size. And again, if you don't have this cover, this is how it looks. But now it's covered, thanks to it's covered. Then it looks nice. No repeat and fixed. So that gives you a parallax effect, actually. All right.
Could you please comment out that fix again to see how it looks without the fixing?
Fixed. Well, thank you for this question. So save it. If I don't fix it, right? I'm not fixing it.
Right.
So it's just scrolling up. It's just scrolled as the content goes up. So it moves along with the content as we expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I want that image fixed there, then let the content follow. So that's basically this line. So here it is. Now it's just flow. The content flows, but the image is there.
Okay, now I see what you mean. Okay, okay. Thanks.
The image doesn't follows as the content, right? So that's fixed. I fixed the image there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all in the CSS. I'm not using any image tag. I'm not using any image element in HTML. It's just section, and I give a background image here. There's one. And then I apply all the background settings to the parallax because I have the same idea also this section. Look at this. This section is fixed, and also this section, and also this section. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 4 parallax sections. So that's why I apply all these rules to the parallax class. But image 1 shows only the first image. So we will continue with the second image, third image, fourth image, fifth image. So, all right. Does it make sense? So I will continue. So now we have a Clarusway text here, and we have Clarusway text here. All right. The last time we practiced with the flex, remember, to exact center. We talked about the perfect centering last lesson. I think, let's check. I think Emirhan asked that question, or it wasn't a question. He gave the idea. So we will now center it. If you don't have flex properties, actually, that's really hard to center any text in the middle, right? In the center and also in the middle, vertically and horizontally. But with flex, it's so simple. All right. But first of all, we need to find the right selector where I am going to apply the CSS rules. Okay. To the Clarusway text or to its parent? That was the question we should ask when we are going to apply any flex rules. Okay, so here it is. I have the parallax and I have this heading. to center this H1, if I'm going to use flex, remember, we have to find the flex container. So we have two things, the containers and the items. So some rules in the flex can only apply to the container, which is this time a section, and some flex rules is applied to the items, which is the item in the container. So we can say if it is the item, so the section is the container. If section is the item, the body is the container. The parent element always becomes a container automatically because it contains all the items. So right now, this is going to be the section. The section class is the parallax. That's why I'm going to apply few rules in the parallax class. So here is my parallax class again, and I'm going to apply all the flex rules just below this line. So I think I can just say flex rules. Okay, that was just, the background rules. You can always, see that it's just height and the background positioning. Now, to start the display, to start the flex properties applying, so we will convert this display to flex. All right, now, before flex, my Clarusway text is here. So let's see if it changed anything. Save, nothing. Okay, but now I will apply two more rules, and if I didn't have this display flex, I can't apply this coming two rules. The first one is align items center, which centers this Clarusway text in the middle, so in vertically, like this. The other one is the justify content center. Now, the Clarusway is the exact center now, in the middle and the center. I say middle vertically and center horizontally. So it's exactly in here. But if I didn't have this display flex on, the other two rules doesn't really affect. So to make them work, we need to have this display flex first. And these properties can be applied to the container, which is parallax. I'm not applying to the Clarusway text. Let's have a look. The Clarusway is in the H1 tag. I'm not applying it to the H1 to make it center. I'm applying to its container, which is section, and this time the class name parallax. So that's why I apply all these flex rules in the parallax class. And now it's in the center. Beautiful. What I need is this now. A different, the border radius here, a background color here, the paddings on the left, right, top, and bottom. I have a border offset here, and even the border has a different, the coloring option here, as if you can see that it's kind of an effect here, the dark purple and light purple here. So now this time I'm applying this to the H1 element, to this one. So heading and also big. So why do I have two classes here? Because I have Clarusway here. Look at this style, and I also have the same styling here as well. You can say it's exactly the same. No, they are not. The first one has the bigger gap between the border and the background color, and this has small. So that's why I separated the two classes, heading big and heading small. So that's why, first of all, we will apply all this heading rules to the both. But for the big one, we will change sizing. Okay, so let's apply some heading rules to the Clarusway. And our Clarusway is here. Okay, so this time I'm going to select the heading because that's my class name. And now I'm applying it to here. First of all, I need this text quite bigger, right? So let's start with the font size. I don't know if I think you've learned the relational sizing, like 3EM. Now, can I ask a question now? What do you think, what this 3EM converting to? How many pixels is 3em in this project? Do you have any idea?
Is it like 36 pixels?
So how do you calculate it? 36?
I mean, one EM is 12 pixels, or I'm not sure, or 16.
Okay, how do we know it? How this height is calculated based on the body's height, right? So all other relative sizing is looking up to your font size in the HTML. So do we have any sizing for any font size here? No. So then this 3em, let's save it. So you can see that 3em and no 3em. That's the matter of life. So, so it doesn't affect anything. That's because we have no relative size here. I haven't mentioned anything in HTML as a font size. So if I go there and if I say my font size is 16 pixels here, let's have a look at in the Clarusway text. Oh, it isn't. Oh, okay, let's do that. I think it's 32. It's not. No, it's not. Sorry. Is it font or font size?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. Knowing that, I'm like...
It should be font size. Sorry. Now it's getting bigger. Okay, but it's again calculated based on what? 12 pixels, 3 times 13 pixels, 3 times 14 pixels, 3 times 16 pixels. How this is calculated? So now let's check the right click and inspect. So the first of all, let's see what's the size of it. I haven't mentioned any signs as a pixel. I just say 3em, but just 3em is just calculated some font size. But let's see the exact size for it. So if you go and calculate, click compute it here, you can see the font size is 48 pixels. It's based on 16 pixels then, 3 times 16. So where is 16 pixels coming from? So if you click this arrow here, it says 3em, but again, let's get back to the computed one, okay? Where did I mention the 16 pixels? Nowhere. But now if I click body or just HTML header, so yeah, there is no font size, but I think HTML, it should be font size somewhere. No, it doesn't show anything. It's automatically takes 16 pixels because the browser's default is always 16 pixels. But if I want my base font size is 12 pixels. Now let's have a look at this H1 font size. It's now 48. As soon as I save the font size 12, now this size is going to be reduced to the 36, I believe, like this. Now it's 36. That's because I set 3em. So what's the em? Em comes from here, 12. So because my base font, how do I know it's base font? It's because the HTML body, so that's my main items in here. It first look at the body. If body doesn't have size, it's go and check the HTML. Because I applied both to HTML body, so it's automatically take this from here, 12 pixels. And here, because I have the 12 pixels, and now it's 3 times 12 is 36 pixels. But if I don't mention anything, it's automatically 16. Again, every browser might differ and select another size. So that's why it's good to have exact sizing. Even it's 16 as a default for all browsers, it's good to have your own CSS code. So then you control your CSS, not the browser. So now it's 48. Okay, so that's basically the 3ems. Take all this sizing from here. There's one more REM, a little bit more detail, but again, maybe another project. I can explain this. Okay. Finally, I've got this font size 3em. Remember, I have some background for it, and the color is white. So here it is. Color is white. Though I have a background, gray background here. So that's why I'm going to apply all these other rules here. So let's start with the background color. Okay. So, and the background color.
Heads up for you, it should be black because we have an opacity, I guess.
Sorry, what is it?
The background color,
Mhm.
it should be black, because if you put an opacity, it will make it more like light color.
Let's check.
Sorry.
I can give
You can try if you want to.
I will. I think you
Yes,
did.
I did it too.
Okay.
That's a heads up.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's try. Okay, so I will start with the background color, but a little bit gray color. Okay, background white. Is okay. Color. Okay, here is the background color. Now, yeah, I can apply black, but I can also apply some light gray color. Let's try this one. Okay, yeah, let's see. No, this one is more grayish. Okay, it's not the dark gray. So what I can get is actually give some numbers like 3, 3, 3, like this, or 4, 4, 4. All right, it's lighter. 5, 5, 5 is a bit more lighter. Okay, so all right, looks similar. Well, one more, 6, 6, 6. The number of the beast. Okay, so here is it. So we have 666 as a color, the background. Now we need some paddings, right? So we have some paddings, top, bottom, left, and right. So it seems okay for me. I think without opacity, it should okay. It should work okay, I believe. So let's give some now paddings, top, bottom, and left and right to the heading section. So okay, let's give 2 REM this time. So what's the difference between EM and REM? Okay, so first of all, let's see what happens. Okay, here it is. Nice. We have now two REM. Even if we have 2 EM, it automatically changes. Look at this and look at this. So what's happening here? Well, if I have EM, it gives me more padding, but if I turn it to the REM, well, it just give me this. Any idea? R, relative. M is measurement. Do you have an idea what E stands for? Okay, let me explain. If I say EM, it gives me a quite big area. What if I change it to the 1 EM, my font size to 1 EM? Look at this now. If I change my font size to 1 EM, so the font size gets smaller, right? Is that only the font size will get smaller? Or padding as well? Also padding. Also, the padding gets smaller. But if I turn this EM to the REM, okay, that's fine. But again, so let me explain where this padding coming from. If you use the EM as a font sizing, it takes this size as a beginning, then it just double it. So it becomes 6 EM. So 6 times 16. So this EM, get it from 16 pixels. So this 3 times 16. And so this 2 EM, get the font size from here. That's why the padding is too big. But if you say REM, so this takes sizing from again here. So it's 32 pixels and 32 pixels and 32 pixels and 32 pixels. Again, REM, get the font size from your main, the body content. EM, take font sizing again from the body content, but if this heading, because the heading doesn't have any other parent, because let's say, yeah, this heading has a parallax, right? It has its own parent, but this parent doesn't have any font size. So it goes one more up level, which is body, and take font size from there, which is 16. So EM always takes the parent sizing. So because you mention here EM, it takes its own sizing, its own font size from here. So that's why it's just double this size. But if you say REM, it's automatically take the sizing from here. So that's why that's the difference between EM and REM. So you can use REM here. That's fine, no problem. Okay. Yes, now we have some paddings here. So let's check the timing. We have a five minutes, I think, left. Yeah. Okay. Now let's give some border to the left corner, to the right bottom corner, and also the border. Okay, we are still applying everything to the heading, right? Okay. Text color, white. Here we have. Again, I wouldn't go for the white color. I would use F3, F3, F3. And also we need hash. It's not exactly white, but it's just shadow, lighter shadow of this gray color. You can even click on it, but I can't to change the color. Anyway, we have the color. Okay. So it's also have giving some spacing between all the letters. So it's basically the letter spacing, and you can give, let's say again is relative measurement, 0.5 REM. And here it is. It's more readable now. Okay. Of course, we need some cornering things, right? So let's apply everything to the heading first. Then we will separate the big and small later. So we have top left corner and the bottom right corner, and then we have some borders as well. So let's apply all of them now after this point. Okay. So border, not border radius, but I can use border left. Let's say top left radius. So top left radius. So I will give 2 REM for it, 2 REM. Oh, by the way, we need to see it here. Okay, oops, beautiful. And now let's say border bottom right radius, border bottom right radius. So this time 2 REM. Okay, nice. Let's give some outline for it, like border. So outline. I'm not giving a border, I'm giving an outline. So again, this outline also take the similar approach like a border. So we need a size first, 0.5 REM. Then there is an effect that you can use, which is inset. And you can see invert, you can see inherit, initial, or inset. So I will go for inset. That's the effect that I'm going to give here, like this one, the dark and light. So inset, and of course the color, purple. That's the Clarusway color, right? Okay, nice. So that's the inset effect actually. And also we have invert, right? Let's try invert. That's the another, actually we didn't have any effect because it's just inverted. If we didn't have any background, let's just stop the background color. I think we can see that's border is inverted. Now it didn't. Interestingly, anyway, so just keep it inset. So it works fine. Okay. And we need some spacing between this border, actually the outline and the background color. So let's set outline offset. And so I can give 1 REM. So you can change the numbers if you want. So then here we have spacing between that offset and outline. Okay, so we can call it offset, that space. And of course, let's keep all the text uppercase, which is like this. So this time we can say text transform uppercase. You can use sentence case, you can use camel case. So this time is uppercase. All right. You can increase the padding, but let's approach a little bit more professional, the line height. Line height is basically, if you have a second line, let's say, that's automatically have a spacing between lines, right? But we have just a single line. But if you increase the line height, so let's say 5 rem, it increases also the spacing. And so let's see, this look like basically bigger, right? Let's comment this out. It's smaller and it's bigger thanks to the line height. You don't have to always give that sizing with the padding. So there's another option that you can use, the line height. Again, what is line height? The line height, if you have a second line here, for example, the BR full stack boot camp. So we have the second line right now. So the line height is basically this line height. So this is the first line and second line, the baseline, remember from the flex. So we have the baseline for the text. This is another baseline for the second line. So that's the space between two baselines, and which is now 5 rem. But if you just shut this down and just comment this out, you can see that space is now less. That's because automatically. But if you want to increase that sizing, so you can apply this. But again, what if you don't have the second line? Exactly. It just increases, sorry, so that's H1. It just increases like, the top and bottom sizing, like padding. So it just increases from top and also bottom. So it's a good approach. As a bit, if I see any developer sizing with padding as well as the line height, I give a thumbs up for it. So these guys understand how this resizing and things is working. And line height is exactly the one item that you can use along with padding. Yes, you would do and increase the padding there, but if you apply the line height there, just for giving extra spaces from top and bottom, let's say double thumbs up. Okay, so I think now you got this, why this line height for. Well, so we have a break time now. I will see you again in 15 minutes later. If you have any question, just put in the class chat. So we will have another section, another session, and we will finish all the styling now. All right, I am back again. Before I continue, every after lesson, I'm updating your repository actually for our project solutions. So that's your GitHub folder for students inside HTML CSS. All the project solutions I've been publishing here. The survey from the first lesson, it's here, my solution actually. The last lesson is not the project, so it was hands-on. No, it wasn't. Sorry, I think class challenges. No, it's not class notes. Okay, the class notes, which is session 10, media queries and Flexbox. So that's my code again I published from last lesson. And today, after the lesson, I will again publish this Parallax solution into the project solutions. So here. And also, you can now find in your Slack in the class chat, I've already shared all the HTML I've done so far and all the CSS we've completed. Okay, so let's get back to the project. Now we have this heading section. Next, let's apply this heading class to other parallax effect, like this one, this one, this one. Okay, So we already have some the heading class and also the parallax class here. So I will apply all this parallax and heading class to all other parallax sections. So yeah, that's with the parallax image one and heading big. That's another parallax. So I will now I jump into the other section with the image. So the class name is again parallax. By the way, it's not parallax, it's parallax. I think the parallax, right? And we have image 2. But now we don't have that class, but let's just say image 2. Just keep it there. So here we have all this exact sizing for this section as well. But we have no background, so that's normal. And I'll just keep image here. So let's jump into other section. So let's give, by the way, I'll just give the parallax image 2 class to next section, next parallax section. So this section is not parallax effect. So I'll continue with the way to reinvent yourself section, which is where? Where's the way to reinvent yourself section? Here, okay. Way to reinvent yourself. So again, for this section, I'm creating the class with a parallax. So as soon as I get this, here is the parallax, and also the image 3 for this. Of course, I have no image 3. And you can see it's the way to reinvent yourself is here. We have no image yet, but we have all the CSS properties for the parallax and image 3. And for this div, again, let's give a class name header, and you will see nothing. Heading, sorry, it's not header, it's heading. Heading. Still, we don't see anything. Oh, here, as soon as we change it to the heading, we got everything, every styling from the first one. There is some styling differences. Again, this is the small, it should be small. The first one is big, so I will separate this later. But let's continue with the other parallax section, which is, wait, is the way to reinvent yourself. So this is also saying the way to reinvent yourself. That's interesting. Okay. Hey, wait, it's not way to reinvent yourself. The first one is way to reinvent yourself. The other one is Clarusway team. This is my fault. Okay, now it's correct. Okay, now again, for this class name, again is parallax, and it will be image 4. But now we don't have that class yet. But for this div, class name is again heading, and as soon as I save, I will get this Clarusway team there without background image. That's it. So now, because I already prepared all this section, all this parallax effect, so everything is there nicely. Only the image part is not really nice because we need to resize this image, but later. So I think now we are done. Maybe it's good to have other image file for this sections as well. Image 2, image 3, 4, and 5. So let's create them first. We have image 1. I will copy this image 1, and I will just replace. Oh, by the way, let me update the HTML code in the class chat. I'm not posting a new chat, new message. I'm just updating the current one, the HTML file for the Parallax project in the class chat. Okay, so I updated the last changes. Now, image 2. The image 2, I think it's BG1, or let's just delete and put a slash. Yeah, it's BG1. So let's save it. Okay, here it is. But I think it's wrong one because what we are looking should be this. Okay, so let's try BG2. Ah, there it is. Okay, BG2. Oh, nice. The opacity one for the background. I got it now. we don't have opacity. We have very clear background image. We have opacity here. We have slightly light background image there. So we can apply it later. Thank you for it. I just see the difference. Okay. Yeah, for image 2. So let's continue with the image 4. So let's create image 4 class. And again, this is it's 4, not 4, it's 3. The background image. So it's a URL function. It's again ./img folder, and I'm not sure which background image is it. So this one, I am guessing it's bg3. .jpeg. Yes, it is. Yes, correct. Okay, and the last one is this image. So let's create image 4. And I believe it's the bg4 URL. Sorry, background image first. Background image URL bg4, and of course dot notation here. This was the last one, and see, yes, there it is. Okay, well, everything looks fine except this opacity one. Look at here for the opacity. We have a lighter background. It looks way better for me. That's so sharp. What is the content? Is this the content or your image? So this is the content. So I have to highlight the content more than the background image. So that's why it's good to apply some opacity just for the sections. Okay. Now the question again: which part, which element should I apply this opacity to? To the parallax, to the header? So where are or the image 1, 2, 3, and 4? Because I'm going to apply all this opacity to the image 1, image 2, image 3, and image 4. And all this image 1, 2, 3, 4 has the parallax class already. So I am going to apply this opacity into the parallax class. So then every parallax section has the same opacity. So I think right down here, let's create that opacity. And let's give 0.5. There's no pixel. It's not sizing. It's just a number. Opacity 0.5. Save it. Now we have lighter background. It's too light. Let's increase it to 7. I think better. Or maybe 8. Okay. Yeah, that looks way better. Yeah, right. Okay. I applied this opacity along with image 2, 3, and 4. Okay. You can check your own code. I've seen 3 people has published their GitHub. So, all right. So this is ready. This is the image part is not ready. Just this logo is too big. What we will do is resize this logo, and that's it. Okay. We can do it real quick. Okay. Let's have a look at the sizing. So this image, this logo, is actually in here, the image, and inside the parallax, and also inside the image2 class. Now, if I say, I can give a class for it. I can say logo for it. So the class logo. So it's better to give a logo class here. So let's say class, and then the class name is logo. Okay, now I have a logo class this time. So within this logo is inside the parallax class. if you might have another logo in different place in the same website. So that's why it's not a good option to just say the logo and just edit it. Like it's not good to say logo and just edit your CSS file. That's because you might have more logo in a web page. Usually you do have more, one heading, one footer in the middle somewhere. So you might have 3 or 4 logo in the same web page. So that's why it's good to mention that the logo is in the parallax section. So then we can add a parallax before logo and give it space. So it says the logo inside the parallax class. So let's check. It's the logo inside the parallax class. So that's the correct one. Now let's give us some sizing for it. Let's give width or height. It's all up to you. I would give width actually. If you give only width, it's automatically size the height. So if you say with 300 pixels, or you can use REM if you want. So the logo will look like this size. It's quite small. Let's increase it to the 600. And here is the logo. It's better now. All right, beautiful. That's it. I'm done. Beautifully covering the browser. See, the 100% height. Okay, nice. This image also done. So the only changes we have done in this section is we add opacity to the parallax. We included the image 2, 3, 4, and plus the parallax logo. This is the changes we have done so far. In HTML5, of course, we give a logo class for the image. That's the another change. Okay, so we are good to go with other sections. I think the last section. So we are almost good with all the sections except this small one. We will convert it to small, but I will do it at the end. But let's just focus on these sections now with the content. Okay, so here is the sample file. Okay, let's inspect. Here what I have is some padding, top, bottom, left, and right. It looks like a very similar paddings. So it should be a single padding property for here. I have heading 2 here. Yes, there's some sizing for it. And also a paragraph here. All right. So, but in my file, I have no background color. And my text is just, stuck in this section, no padding, and no text center, by the way. So this is the text center, right? All right, let's do that. So that section now has no class. So we need to give a class name for this section. So, well, you can say this section class name is content because it has content in it. Some text in it. So this class section is the content, okay? And because we have 2 different contents with one light background with one dark background, you can just say content light for the light contents, light background content, and the one for the dark is the content dark. That's it. We don't need to give any other class for H2 and paragraph, but that class will be enough to just style this section. So that's the content, that's the light background color. So we will have 2 class selector for the CSS file. For the latest CSS file, let me just update my CSS in the class chat. So that's my CSS file so far, and all the HTML also now updating here. I'm not posting a new message, just updating the last HTML and CSS file in class chat in the Slack. Okay. So here, basically. This and this file is my HTML and then CSS file. All right. Well, continue. Go to the style file and end of the style file. Now this time is going to create a content class, because I do have a content class, and all this content class has the same settings except the background. So that's why, so like this. So it has all the same paddings, left, top, right, even in between H2 and the paragraph. It has the same spacing. So that's why. Let's apply all the rules for the content. Okay, the first of all this text is centered. So let's say text align center. Text align center. Then here it is. No, yes, no, why it's not centered? Yeah, it's centered. Oh, that's because we apply the content class to this AWS section, sorry. So we need to apply that as well as the section class content light. The second class is content dark, sorry. Yes. All right, so the content light, this section is content dark. Let's continue with the other sections. So this section is content light again. Class content light. And the last section class name is content and also dark. Okay. So content dark, content light, except the section after the parallax. It's content light and content dark and content light. Okay, so now I can apply everything. Okay, it's centered now. We need padding. Let's apply some paddings. Let's give 3 REM, 5 REM. There it is, 3 REM, and this one. Okay. There is a margin between the heading and the paragraph, which we don't have here. So we have a margin here, but we don't have in here. So let's apply one more setting, which is for the H1 element in the content. So content H1. So all the H1 element in the content, then go and apply some margin to the bottom. So margin bottom, let's say 2 REM. Didn't work. Did I save? I do. It's the H1 in the content. Let's check once again. H2 in the content, sorry. That was the H2 element in the content. So now it applied some, it's too much. So let's just change it to the 1 REM first. Save. Yes, it's better. And 1 REM there. Okay, nice. I just wanted to see, we have a line spacing if you see here. In our line spacing, there's no line spacing there. So there's no padding, there's no margin, there's no line spacing there. But in this paragraph, we have a nice line spacing there. So remember, we do have a line height property there for the paragraph. So again, I will go inside the content and all the paragraph element, I'll just give some line height. Not list style, line height. Now, if I give 1 REM, I think it will be too much, but let's try. Okay. Content, P. Seems didn't work. That's interesting. So the content, paragraph, what about the other contents? The other content, the line height. Let's just increase it. Let's try 3. Yeah, the 1 rem is too small. So let's try 2. Okay, better. I think 1.5 would be very, very nice. 1.5 would be really nice. Yes, looks way better. So the content P, the line height is 1.1. So we have 1.5 line height. That looks nice to me now. With a light background, the light background doesn't have a white background actually. Light background has a little gray color, like we have some we apply for the text actually. So let's do and apply it. Like 666. Remember, we applied it for the background color for the heading. So let's do apply into the content, but the light class. So I'm not going to select the light class alone, but I'm going to select the light class inside. Wait, this time I will use no space. That's because content and the light is in the same class, in the same element. So that's why I'm not using a space here like I do for this. So because if I say this, it says light class inside the content container. So which means it should be light inside somewhere. There's no light class in the content. There is content and a light class applied in the same element. So that's why I'm giving no space here. Okay, so that's the correct selection now with no space. Now I can apply the content light, just the background color. Background color, so that's light color, sorry. For the light color, I'm not going to use 666, but for the light color, I'm going to use background color, background color. I think for the background color, we use F3, F3, F3. So we can apply F3, 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 3, F3, F3. All right, so now we don't have a white background, but we have slightly gray background. Okay, that's nice because we all applied to here, but because it's the dark class, but for the dark class, I will apply the content again, but this time is the dark class. Okay, for this time, for the background, I will have 6, 6, 6 for the background. Here it is. Well, it's just refreshing the page and it's showing the top. Okay, here's the background, the dark background. And for the text, of course, I need white color or F3, F3, F3 color. So I'm applying F3, F3, F3 color. All right, so that's the light color, light background. That's the dark background with the light color text. So the light and dark and light and dark. That's it. It's almost done, not finished. Okay, we have a bit more refactoring for the sections, not this one, but this section. We will apply some differences. But before we go, I will update my CSS file in the class chat now. Okay, I updated my style file. Let's update the HTML file in the class chat. Okay, so that's my class, that's my style file. And everything looks okay here. Small, let's see, everything looks very, very nice, except this image file. No, it doesn't look, but we will have a fix for it. But except everything working very, very well. Yeah, that doesn't really work when it gets small. This one. Okay, we will fix that too. Okay, yeah. Everything else looks nice. The line heights work here, so we have spacing. Usually 1.5 for a line height is very nice, but sometimes when it gets this small, the 1.5 is fine. But when your contents get larger, then you can increase the line height to something like 1.8 because you know the content gets wider. It's very hard to read the long sentences, right? So that's why it's nice to give more line height when your content gets wider. But you can have a reduce the line height when you get short text actually. So 1.5 is really nice for this short text, but again, if it gets longer, it's quite hard to track from this line to continue with the second line. So that's why it's good to have the increase. That's basically about UI. It's not about coding, but it's about design. All right. If you have a question, you can put in the chat, you can unmute yourself, or I will continue with some refactoring. So if we don't have the background attachment fixed, look at this. The content just flow as regular page like this. But because we have this background attachment fixed property, now it's just like switching the background to the next one. It looks nice. All right. So the fix one. The fix one basically applying to this section. Again, we have the, if you look at the HTML, we have the heading big, which is this, and we have heading small for the next headings, because in our original file we have smaller headings actually. So this one is small and this is big. So that's why we are now separating this class big and small. Okay. But in our class, style class, we have only one heading, and we applied all the rules to the heading. We don't have any big or small headings. So now let's create them. First, heading space dot big or no space big. Okay, now in the class chat, I am writing a yes/no question. Which one is the correct selection? Okay, thumbs up for heading big with space. Or thumbs down for heading dot big in the class chat. Which one is the correct selection? Heading space big or heading no space big? Thumbs up and thumbs down in the class chat. Okay, here is the poll, if you haven't realized. So which selection is the correct one? Heading space big or heading no space big? Of course, to know it, we need to see the HTML. Let's look at the HTML and see the heading big. You can change your answer if you want. So that's our class. For the CSS class selector, what do you think? Shall I use style space? Let's just move into the second area. Okay. So for this selection, which one is correct? Heading big with space or heading big with no space? Thumbs down for this, thumbs up for this. Let's see your answers. Okay, we got 100% thumbs up. So you said this is the correct one. Yeah, you said this is the correct. Let's try and see. Okay, so what I'm doing is now I'm separating this heading big. Which one really different than the heading small? Okay, so let's inspect. Okay, what is the difference between this big and the small one? So here is the small. Small has a slightly less offset, and the big has quite large offset. This has slightly small border. This is quite big. So this is thick and this is thin. The border radius looks similar. The padding looks less. The paddings looks less. And I think font size should be less too, because it's small. So that's why I believe we are going to apply this font size and the padding and the radius are same. The outline, I think, and the outline offset, and I believe line height too, to applying to the different classes, big and small. Okay, so now I no longer need them in the heading. So because I'm going to use the big and small classes. So let's apply them. For the big class, again, I have the same background colors. I have the same border colors, right? So I will keep it in the heading. Okay. What I will do now, let's apply this font size because it's big. Is 3 EM for the big one, and maybe for, let's say, for the small one, I will use another different font size. So I will make it smaller. So this font size for the big one, okay. Background color is same. The paddings I will apply differently to big and small. So I will use, this is for the big one. So I will cut this out. Okay, I'm not just cutting, I'm cutting this from heading and replacing with the big one now. The color is the same. Letter spacing could be same. Top radius, bottom radius is same. Outline color is same, but the outline sizing is different. So that's for the big one. I will apply the small one differently. The outline offset, so this is for the big one. This is for the big one. And uppercase, it's all uppercase, yes. The line height should be also reduced. So this is for big one.
I can't see the screen. Are you on the different screen?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Why? It's just stopped. Now I think it's fine. Sorry. What I did quickly, just Control Z, 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 Z. Okay. I'm basically now, okay. Yeah. I'm now basically taking some of the properties, the common properties. This is, this is the big heading and this is the small heading. So I'm just copying the common properties and keep it in the heading class and separating them to big and also small. Okay, because we have, this is the big one and the other one, the headings were small one. So that's why I'm separating them to big and small now. Again, what are they? Font size. So cut. This is for the big one. And this is for the small one. So 2 REM for the small one, 3 REM for the big one. Next, the background is common, the same color. Padding, I can reduce the padding because if you look, this is less padding. This has large padding. So that's why the padding for the big and padding for the small. So I will just reduce 1 REM, 16 pixels totally. That's for the small, that's for the big. Letter spacing, I can keep same. Border left radius, right radius, keep the same. The outline, so that's for the bigger, and that's for the smaller. So 5 rem for the bigger, 3 rem for the smaller. What else? Outline offset, so that's spacing. So this is for the big one. So that's for the big one, and for the reduced to the half for the small one. Okay. What else? The uppercase, they are both uppercase, I believe. No, they are not both uppercase. The big one is full uppercase. Oops, look what happened. This one is full uppercase, but this all the sentence case, or just say capitalize. So the uppercase for the big one, uppercase for the big one, capitalize for the small one. All right. And of course, the line height. So this is for the big one, 5 rem. That's for the line height for the big. So I will reduce to this 3 rem for the small one. All right. So that's for big, that's for small, but let's check the class chat. Class chat still says this is the correct selector. But if it was correct, it would work, right? So that's because this is the heading big. Let's check. It's the heading big. Look, heading big. Here is heading big. Didn't work. So let's just remove the spacing and save it. And voila. It's back. Because that is the correct selector, not space, okay? So that's for the small, but no space. Once again, the correct answer should be thumbs down. By the way, I can, oh, okay, thumbs down. I click thumbs down, yay. Okay, the correct was the thumbs down. All right, and yeah, so then we will apply it to the small one as well. Now, if you look at, this all broken. All this is broken now, okay? So let's just apply the small to the other headings. So we have heading here, but it's not big or small. So now we can say small for it. So it will apply all the small rules to here. But if you want this as big, so you can just say the big, so it becomes big. So that's big and that's small. Nice. And let's apply all the small to all the headings now. Small, small, hop, here it is. So this is also small now. So I think done. Yes. Okay, heading small is now working. So that's the small, that's the big. Okay, that's heading small, that's heading, sorry, heading big, and this is heading small. It looks okay. Only one glitch left, actually. It's resizing. Okay, so by the way, let me update all the HTML code in the class chat. So I'm now updating the HTML and also now updating the CSS file in class chat. And now it's updated. Any questions so far about this splitting heading to big and small? We keep the common practice, common properties in the heading because they are all heading. Like our background color is 666 for all these, headings, and all white color, so it's F3, F3, F3. All letter spacing is the 0.5, so I kept 0.5 in the heading. Border top left radius and the border right top, border right bottom right radius is 2 rem. So they are the common properties in the heading. but we separated to the big and small. It has the same properties except the color and sizing. Yes, I'm still here. We haven't finished. Right, we have one more fix left, which is the screen size. So when screen size gets smaller and smaller, you can see there are, this text is just getting away. And then this text looks okay. But again, if that gets smaller and smaller, so that this text is getting, distorted, which I really don't, even this image is getting distorted. Well, we need to apply some settings for the smaller screen sizes, which we actually had this lesson last week on media queries. So we need to write a few media queries for this page, actually. All right, so for the media queries, we need breakpoints, if you remember, the screen sizes. Usually we have a desktop size, we have a tablet, and we have mobile. So this is the basic sizing. But of course, we have many. Like UHD monitors is too wide. There is 24 or 27-inch monitors, is quite narrow. And we have laptop screens are narrower than the desktop screens. And the tablet screens has two modes, portrait and also landscape mode. Even the mobile phones is the portrait and also the landscape mode, right? The horizontal mode. So at all different screen sizes, and for every different screen sizes, you can write different CSS rules. But for our project, we will keep it simple. So we will basically make it, I think, for the mobile only, because it gets distorted when it gets reach out to here, let's say. So when we reach out somewhere here, we can reduce we can just changing some settings here. For example, we can make this image smaller because when it gets more smaller, then image is just overflowing the area. So we can fix that. Again, what we can fix is this sizing. So this outline is just overflowing the screen size again, so which looks not nice. So we can fix the sizing for it when it gets smaller. So basically, this is all up to us which size you want to change your CSS code. Okay, for me, very basically, I want to change it to 760 pixels. Okay, so this is desktop size. When this size is reached to 760 pixels somewhere here, then I will apply different rules. So that's called media queries. So first of all the media queries should be declared or defined at the bottom of your style file. That's the rule. If you do it in the top, it doesn't work. So we will make it happen just at the end of the file. So the media queries always start with the @ sign, and I will use the media, and you can say end screen and the screen size, but I am not using that because we are all applying to the screen. So that's why I just say media. And then in this media, now I can say in the parentheses the max width. So I can define a max width to see that how I want this app react to this max width. So let's say max width, and then I will keep it 760 pixels. And of course, this curly braces. It's like a function declaration, right? So it's the condition here and the curly braces here. Anyway, it's not function. So that's basically a CSS property, and it's a query, media query. And that's the condition. Again, to make it work or just see if it works, I will basically change this Clarusway's background. So where I define this background is in the heading 666. So what I will do, I will change, again, I will select the heading, and I will change the background color to, let's say, purple to see if it works. All right, so let's reduce it. Oh, it works. And here, let's just turn to the gray. But here, it turns to this purple color, dark orchid. So, well, so my media query is working. So that's exactly 760 pixels right here. Below 760 is changed the color to this. Above is just turned to the usual color. So there's all the rules are applied first. All the rules are applied first until the media query. And because media query says the max width, so it applies to up to 706. So it starts from here and apply up to 760 pixels. And after that, the rest of the code is working. So this is actually working. So now, this is basically CSS declaration. We only wrapped this CSS between this and this. That's the change only. So we have all the CSS here, except we wrap it with the media query. So, of course, I'm not going to change the background color. What I will do, very, very basically, I will reduce the image size here. As you can see, I will reduce the image size. Let's do that. Not the heading, but I'm going to apply this to the logo in a parallax. Remember, we have a parallax class first, and we have a logo inside this parallax class. Now, remember again, if you go up there, the parallax logo was 600 pixels. But when it gets reduced, now what I can do, I can apply percentage, or I think I'm applying the percentage better. So this is width. And 100%, so let's apply 80% for sizing. Refresh. Now, let's have a look how it affects. So this is the desktop size, and that's the 600 pixels. But when it reaches to somewhere here, then it also gets smaller as content. Look at this, because it's the percentage now. Very nicely done. So it just stick to the 80% right up here and just gets smaller. Very nice. Thanks to this code here. Okay. What else we can do? Okay. When it gets small, let's say for a mobile size, is it too big for you? If it looks, then you can resize it. You can reduce the paddings. You can reduce the offsets. You can even have some, you know, some fixing for the other sections. Let's say this one, like this. You can just reduce it, or you can even keep this width as maximum 80% as well. So you can do that 80%. Let's try 80% again for this Clarusways and all other headings. So they are all heading, not big or small. So we don't separate the big or small. So this will apply all the headings. So what I will do, I will select the heading again first. All the headings width, I will apply 80% once again. Hey, wait, so that's also 80%. Why don't we just combine them? Let's do it. So parallax logo, comma, and heading. So comma says and. So apply this with 80% to parallax logo, or logo inside parallax, and heading separately. Save. Now look at this. Now when it gets smaller, let's just check from here. When it gets smaller, when it reaches for 760 pixels, then 80% is working, and it just gets smaller in 80%. Very, very nice, right? You don't even understand when this breakpoint is working, because 760. So when it reaches the 760, the 80% is applied. But when it reaches after 760, then it's exactly its own size. Nice, right? So let's have a look at this one as well. So when it gets smaller, 80% rule is applying. Oh, when it gets 80%, look what happens to the class theme. Class theme is not wide enough, but when it reaches to 700 pixels, it's got 80% as automatically. So I think it would be good to center the text as well. So it's inside the heading, but not the Parallax logo. So what I will do is create another heading class, because I will apply text center. So let's say align, not align, text align center, save. And now let's check once again. So that's the desktop size at the bottom. When it gets smaller, and it reaches to 760, and here is 80%, but the text is centered. Nice. Beautiful. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks good.
Oh, nice, thank you. So that's the media query. I applied very basic media query, but I now check there's one more bug here. So the padding doesn't work really. The padding on the left is working. The padding on the right is not working. I don't know why. Okay. But for this, the padding works very nicely. But for this, padding is not working. Yeah, let's just quickly check if you have anything wrong here. So I do usually right-click and inspect to see whether, look at this. The text is not wrapping. Text is just extending. That's something wrong here. For other text, of course, there's no screen size like this, but the others also getting, yeah. But mostly it's problem with this clause, this first one, this one. So it's not going the second line, it's not wrapping. Remember, we have a wrap option, but it's in the flex. Without flex, we have text flow property, I believe. I don't use this a lot, so I have no idea if that text flow works or not. So I'll just check if this is about the text flow. So because it's not going to the next line, right? We can apply the flex box and also the wrap. Automatically it will wrap, but again, it's about the text, and I don't want to apply any flex because I have only a content here. So I will just check if it was the text flow or something. Text overflow, we have overflow, but I don't think it's about the text overflow, but it should be something about wrap. I don't know, I didn't memorize it, but just checking if they have text. If that text overflow doesn't have any. No, it's not about the overflow. No. So I will quickly search it. So it should be CSS wrap text. Somebody already asked is wrapping and breaking text. Overflow wrap. Overflow wrap should be something not hidden. This is what I don't want. I want it's wrapped, which is overflow wrap break word. So that's the settings I'm looking for. So I will apply it to the heading. So here it is. Overflow wrap break word for the smaller text, smaller size. So I think now, there we go. Now it's overflowing, it's all wrapped and nicely fixed. Let's check the others. And here it is, the same thing. And same thing here. So when it gets smaller and smaller, so it's wrapping. Beautiful. That's what I wanted. So there we go. I think there's break word, there's break sentence, there is break line or something. We have a few different breaks, I believe. Right. Okay, but now it's the break word. Well, congratulations to us.
I guess it's more to you.
Thanks for your patience.
I have a question.
Right.
When I did that code, like when I code that, the text, not the actual like Clarusway, the ones that goes down there was like text, the paragraphs.
Mhm.
When I resize the screen, it goes like it's overflowing, I think.
Mhm.
It goes on top of the image instead of like making it larger.
All right. So would you mind if you share your screen?
Oh, sure,
We
absolutely.
can fix. And I will stop sharing mine and I will update all the HTML and CSS in the class chat. And also I will publish them in the GitHub, student GitHub repo. So, but again, now let me stop my sharing and you can share your own. Let me do it just real quick. Stop sharing. I think you can you first can you try if you can
No.
share? You
Mhm.
can't. So if I stop sharing, can you try again if you can?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Nice.
Okay. Yeah, that is mine.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you. So when I do this,
Mhm.
it's went down. Do you see it?
Hmm.
So I
The
look,
height.
I don't know
Height.
what.
You have fixed height.
Oh, that's why I shouldn't like fix it.
Yeah. You can give a minimum height if you want, but it should be about the text. Yeah, the first text. So you have any
Yeah,
height
right here,
properly there?
right here.
Yeah, that one. You shouldn't give any height for it. So it will automatically resize it in any case.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay. I
that-
was like thinking.
yeah, it's
I
about the
did.
height. Height is really dangerous, or sometimes width as well. If you really want any height, give a minimum height. So min height, at least you will have some minimum height, even you have less content. But when your content grows, then that minimum height automatically extend. So that's why if you really want any height, so you can use minimum height or minimum width. That's the
Yeah,
safe.
and this is what you were talking about. So we need to do this
yes,
too.
right.
We're still new, so
Yeah, it's beautiful.
thank you.
Right. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So I will updating my code. Oh, I think I forgot one more thing. It's the font. Let me share just real quick. We are all, time is up. But I will update the code. It's not too much. Do you see the correct one? You can ask which one is correct. We don't know. So let me share again. We have, in this page, we have a different font. You can see there's another font, but we are using a Times New Roman because it's the default font type here. So we can definitely change this font. I will do it real quick. If you don't have time, you can just, go and then just look at the recording if you want. But it's really basic one that we will copy a new font type from Google, and then we will apply that Google font to our CSS. It's so quick. Let's go to the fonts.google.com. Is there anything else that Google didn't touch? So it's even the fonts you can get from Google. Okay, you can select any font type here, any font type you really like. So you can go for this, whatever you want. So I will basically go with more safe one. So I think I will go with Lato. Okay, not latte, Lato. So I will go with the Lato. And to select any font, so you will click the Lato first. So I've selected the Lato. And then you will click again which font weight you really like. So I will get the regular 400. I have no bold text, but if you have bold text, just select this style. Add like adding to your shopping cart. So I actually select only this style, the 400, because I have no bold or italic text, right? So I have now one font size. So let me just increase this. Okay, where is this extension? So I have selected this file, and they always update their website. Is it download family? No. Why I can't see this extension? Because now I should see, as soon as I select a font, I should see it's been selected, and then I can copy it. And it doesn't. Should I click this? No, not this one. Should I click? Oh, this one. Because I close it, I can't see it. Okay. Now I select this, or I can remove it, or I can edit. So as soon as I add, look at this. I added the others already. So I will remove the others first. Okay, now I have Lato. As soon as you select other font types or font weight, so you can see that it's also added here. But no, I want just 400, the regular 400 one. Okay, so this one. That's enough. Two things. The one, I will copy and add it to my HTML file, and I will apply into my CSS file. If you select this one, you will apply it into your style file, and also this is to the body, let's say. So you can select both. I don't know which one applies to you. So this is for your HTML page, and this is directly into your CSS file. So what I really like is I will import it to my CSS file. So how does it work or not? I'm not sure. So let's copy this part, but it's import. Because it's import, I will apply into the CSS file. So I will go to my CSS file. And at the very beginning of the page, even before this, I will apply this rule. So it will import that Lato font to my CSS file. Then I'm going to select this rule and apply to the body. That's it. Just copy this. Just copy this. And now apply it to the body here. So that's it. If you have more fonts selected, then it will automatically be updated. So you don't need to update it. Just select another size. And this is, look, is now different font weights. But if you remove, it's also removed from here. So don't worry. So you just select any font types you really like and select the style, and you can see that what you can import into your CSS file. And this is to your body. Well, now I have both. Just resize my page to see my new font. Now, as soon as I save this now, I haven't yet, but this font type should change. Save it and changed. That's it. Now I have a better font type, thanks to this and these lines. Any question about this too? Basically, I've selected the font from the main page, like here. Real quick, yes, any font. There are beautiful fonts here. It's all free. You can use any product, even in commercial products. So you can select any font here, click the font, select the font size, let's say the bold, select the style, and now you can have your import file has Lato and Ubuntu all together. You didn't like the Ubuntu, remove it. So you have now just the Lato. In Lato, we have 400 and 700 bold. You didn't like the bold one, remove it. So you have only Lato with 400. Copy this to the very beginning of your CSS file and this to your body section. And there you go. Yeah, thank you very much again. You're all here. You didn't leave. So thank you for your patience. I hope I hope you enjoyed the lesson. So I think I will see you again next week.
Thanks so much, sir.
Thank you
very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, rest of the weekend.
Thank you too.
Could you have this uploaded?
Yeah, I will now upload it, and I also upload it to the student GitHub repo, but as well as the class chat.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for reminding. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.